We are here to bring you everything and anything surrounding Porsche. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And this is P-Car Talk.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Mike.
I'm Aaron.
And we have a guest on. We have Foster on. He's invited us here. We've drove some cars today and kind of just decompressing and talking about the cars. And we figured we'd record the conversation, right? So thank you for letting us come up here. Thank you for letting us drive the cars today. That was amazing.
Happy to do it. Happy to have you all here.
So we drove a GT3 4.0 manual,
Yep.
2018. Fire. Awesome.
That was good.
The new GT2 RS, 700 horsepower monster. And then we drove the Widowmaker, really, the 2008 GT2. Yeah. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about that. So let's talk about our experiences a little bit, and then we'll chime in and some of your favorites on it as well. So on the Voodoo Blue car, it's so striking to look at. Obviously, that's the first thing it hits you. But then one of the things that my big takeaways from it is, I was surprised how the clutch wasn't as heavy as I anticipated it being.
Like a cloud.
Yeah, it was really, really nice, right?
Yeah, it drives like every three-pedal car should drive.
Yeah, it's so nice. It compared to, like, it's not like a Puck 3 or a Stage 3 clutch where you're just getting this super calf workout. It was very ergonomic. It was just perfect, right? So it was just, So what are some of your favorite things about that Voodoo Blue car, Foster?
So for me, the first was the color. You know, I've always been a GT3 guy. I've always been naturally aspirated. But I always wanted Voodoo Blue. I don't know why. I'm a blue. My airplane's blue. I love blue.
Yeah.
And I love that blue specifically. Yeah. So, I didn't really care about the rarity of the paint to sample, but I really wanted that. And then the car came out. So I had a PDK, so a 991.1 GT3. And PDK car didn't have three pedals there. So I was like, I really wanted a three-pedal GT3.
Yeah.
And same thing. I was super impressed with the transmission, the clutch package, the whole drivetrain of that car is just incredible.
And I like how you spec'd the comfort seats. That's nice. I know, like, everybody's probably listening is like, what? But honestly, we drove it, and he made a good point too. He's like, if I'm going to take this thing on a long road trip, I'm going to go to the mountains, I'm going to drive a lot. If anybody has spent time in carbon buckets before,
They're like 5 minutes. That's all you need.
That's all you have.
Well, and Porsche says it all right. I mean, the GT3 is a road car for the track. It's not a track car for the road like the RS is. So, like, if you're going to have that and you're going to be in it 3, 4, 5 hours, put comfortable seats, man. Like,
I totally agree with that. But you're one of the few people that actually spec that, because most of them that you see, they're just like hardcore as hell, right? Like, oh, let's get a cage in here. Let's do this. Let's do that. And
it's
then
it's a GT3.
And then I'm going to Cars and Coffee. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, it's not comfortable, man.
They just want to join the trend. They can't buck the trend.
Yeah. And the shifter in that is so nice.
Yeah, it's got a really good configuration for heel toe. But, like, did you try the sport option where it'll actually heel toe for you?
No, I didn't do that.
So it'll rev match, and it's kind of addictive because then you just feel like a champion every time. Like, you can't get it wrong.
Exactly. I do like that feature and that. But I was telling him that car had that. I was like, well, I don't want to mess with that. Like, I don't want to. Like,
it's cheating though.
Yeah.
It's not fair, but it's just too good.
It sings such a good song too. Like that 4-liter. It's
$9,000. So good.
It's a legend. It really is. It's so, like, intoxicating, that noise, that NA motor, like after 6, and it's just climbing and climbing and climbing and just screaming and howling. It's just like, yes.
Yeah, it's the best sounding car out there.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, that one, and you've had a 3RS, and you've had all those other one, a lot of variants of cars, excuse me, but that one specifically, I don't know. I think that's a perfect sweet spot. Like,
it is. So I had the 991.2 GT3 RS for a little while before I got my 2RS. That's the best sounding car made, I think.
Yeah.
That car just sounds ridiculous, but overall package, I like the GT3 better. It just it's for what that car is. If with the 2RS out there and the GT3.
That's a lethal combo.
Yeah, the 3RS is just kind of, I mean, if you can do it, the 3RS is just kind of, is just a compromise between all three cars.
Yeah. I kind of agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I almost feel that it's so hardcore when we've driven them, it just is not a road car.
No, and not at all.
No.
I mean, the 2RS is not a road
core.
Like, it is.
Exactly.
It's fun, but it's not a road car.
Yeah, it is a track weapon. Yeah. Absolutely. And I felt that when I was in it as well. And like you said, if you're going to have a 3RS or a 2RS, like, obviously you're going to get a 2RS probably. So.
I think everybody that had 3RS has got to. Yeah,
exactly. Like, you're not going to not get one if you can, right? So I think it's just one of those things too. But you know, the funny thing about that, I felt when I drove your 2RS, and I've driven the 3RS, the .1, I felt like your car was actually more comfortable.
It is. So they've made it a little bit better. But for me, the thing that I have a big problem with in that car is the noise. So like you just get absolutely berated with noise in the 2RS, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But like I drove it down to Tampa to have Billy put the paint protection film on it at Presidential, and I was done. By the
Couldn't
time
wait to get out of the car.
So in airplanes we get this fatigue where you're in a really loud airplane for a long time and you get fatigued from it. Car has the same thing, just like race car drivers deal with. So I mean, that's a reality.
Yeah, the constant pounding of it, just like getting beat down.
None of the 3RSs have that. So it's unique to the 2.
Yeah, it is. And so like let's segue into the 2. It's unbelievable.
That's it.
It is an unbelievable machine.
It's too fast for the road.
It is. It's so capable though, isn't it?
It's so easy to go fast.
I mean, I don't know what it. I joked around when we were in it. I felt like Wile E. Coyote on a damn Acme rocket in that thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And that's exactly what I felt like. I was like, this is like a ballistic missile that I'm like hanging on to when it's at full tilt.
Yep. Yeah. So
and that's how angry it is.
The first few pulls I did in the car, I told everybody, I'm like, it's like the Millennium Falcon jumping to light speed. Like it feels like everything
really
around
is.
blurs. It's like it's just a uniquely fast car.
Yeah. And we were discussing too, and I'd like to get your take on it. And I already pretty much divulged it, but he was like, what do you think? We're doing our review. He's like, do you think this car would be cool if it had a manual transmission? I was like, absolutely not.
You would die.
Yeah.
You would die.
That's what I said. Yeah. Okay. I'm glad that's how you feel about it too, because all you can do is hang on.
I mean, like I would
how
like
could
to
you
try
shift?
it once.
Yeah.
But then like after that, I would put it away and never drive it again.
Exactly.
Like, you would die.
Because it'd be worse than the GT2.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah. Literally when it's on full tilt, you got it all the way down. You don't have anything else to do. You got both hands on the wheel. You're hanging on, and you can flick the paddle. That's it, because it's that much power. You're being thrown back that much, and like you said, everything is whizzing by you so quickly.
When you have to train your brain to think faster, so it's like flying faster, airplanes faster.
Yeah.
It's like going faster. So you have to train your brain to think ahead of
Yeah.
the car.
You're looking like
Exactly.
okay, how many links ahead? Oh,
You're like
yeah,
normally
it's
you're
really clear.
normally you're looking 300-400 yards ahead. This you're looking at 1,000 yards ahead, because it's like
What's my line of sight?
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking okay.
it's like how much runway do I have here? But it is so capable, and it's such a monster. But it's a beautiful car too. On top of it, it's very menacing looking. You got the Wysock package. It's so nice. It's got the NACA ducts in the front. It's even got the bigger vents on it now. And when we took some still shots, I was just blown away about the way it looks.
And all of my GT cars all of my RSs have been GT Silver. And,
Okay.
and I don't know, like it's a super popular color, but I just don't care. Like
Yeah.
I love it. And that's
It
all
looks
that
good.
matters.
Yeah, no, it works. It really does.
It's such a classy color.
Yeah, it works for that car, because it's just enough, not like shouty. You've seen all the ones like you did, like we talked about offline. You said like, well, half of them are PTS, and I didn't even know that. Like half of them are PTS.
Like,
That's nuts to think about that.
The most cars were made PTS. Like it's disproportionate. I'll show you the
Yeah.
statistics afterwards. And then second was GT Silver.
Wow.
So I've got the second most popular color. I don't care. I love
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah.
No, but I mean the color combo is perfect with the exposed carbon that it has, and then the black wheels. It goes well with the silver.
It does.
The contrast, it's perfect on that car, and that thing looks so tough.
The happiest I was is they went to allow you to have the black door handle, so you've got like the black gloss.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just like an awesome touch.
Yeah, no, I love that too. I noticed that, and I noticed that on the Voodoo car too.
Yeah. As soon as I saw it, I was like, okay, I gotta have it.
And I noticed that right away. I was like, look at that, because it breaks things up, right?
It does, yeah.
So
I was telling Mike, I was surprised that they don't allow a carbon option for the door handles, because everything else. is carbon.
It'll come. I'm sure that
Yeah,
they'll
eventually.
probably listen to
Tie it in.
this and then change everything
Oh,
around.
I'm sure.
yeah, no,
$1,000, it can be yours.
exactly. Yeah, you just check this mark, and we'll get them, no problem. It's just one thing after another, right? So you've owned a lot of GT cars over time. So far, obviously, the flavors that you've tasted, is the GT2 one of your favorites so far?
Yeah, I would say it is.
Yeah.
Just because it's stupid fast. I mean, it's like one of those. It's one of the few things I've ever driven in my life that has enough horsepower. Mm-hmm. It's
Or you didn't have to modify it, right?
Yeah,
like it
it's like
came that way, and
it's just
you don't want to touch it.
It's like a Ducati 1098R. I mean, it has enough horsepower.
Yeah.
It's just you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly. It gets it done. I totally agree with that. The sensation of speed, you have to like recalibrate, because I'm going to get my 964 tractor and go home after driving like all of these like high horsepower cars, and it's like, ugh.
But it's just as fun. Like I get out of that and get in the 912.
Yeah.
Just as much fun.
Yeah, that's true. It is fun. It's just a different
It's less
type of
stressful.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I agree with that. Actually, blood pressure levels are up
That's right.
while we're
The
in that.
adrenaline and everything
Yeah, you're
else.
in that. Well, it's so capable to do so much damage because it's so fast and it's so, you're like wrangling an animal essentially the whole time. You're just like, oh, and you're on edge the whole time, and in a good way, not in a negative way, but yeah, it's an impressive vehicle.
Well, the 912, you've got to really try to go hard to go fast enough to kill yourself. The 2RS, that's just not a problem.
Exactly. You can do that in first gear. No, I mean, what were some of your takeaways on that, Aaron? Like, what were some of your favorites on the GT2 RS?
I like the GTRS. Everything about it. I like the color combos, the Alcantara, the leather, the red stitch, all that really pairs well with the silver. I love all the carbon fiber. Like there can't ever be enough carbon fiber, and that car fulfills that in me. I was like, oh, nice.
Yeah, that's,
everything.
you can't.
You look anywhere and you're like, oh, I didn't know they would make that out of carbon fiber, but there it is.
Yeah, they I think they do everything carbon fiber. That whole car is basically carbon now.
It's such a fantastic car. It really is. And so what do you think about that? And we'll segue a little bit, and we're still going to talk about it. We've talked about it before in the past, but I'd like to see your opinion on it, where this trend of everybody went to PTS and everybody wanted to be unique, and everybody had to have, and not even just from a GT3 RS or any variant of a GT3. They're like, oh, I'm going to go get a signal green one, or it's like, okay, well, 5 people have that now because everybody wanted a signal green car. And
I think the issue is that everybody, it's forums, man. Forums, I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's like, oh, this is the rarest color, so I've got to have, and everybody wants to be unique. Everybody wants to be different, but I mean, damn it, man, just like do what you like. Like for me, like I've had a couple colors that I've seen that I know I want, and for me, like that's what paint is. Does it make the car more valuable? I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Does it make it more unique? I don't care. Like that's what I want.
That's
what
good.
it's all about.
I agree with that.
Not rarity. Like
Exactly. And I think, and we talked about that too, and I totally agree with you. I think you start to make a car that's not your car because you're chasing a color for potential resale.
For resale, not yours.
Exactly. You're like, well, nobody's done this color combo in this. I'm going to do this.
I mean, and if you want to make money on cars, go buy a car dealership. Like go start a resale dealership. Like do something, like make money that way. Don't try to make it by speccing a car.
Exactly.
That just,
but yeah, you notice that trend because you're in that world. It's like you're on a list to buy those cars, and we've seen it. We've talked to many people that are on those lists too, and it's funny to see the opinions behind it. They're like, well, if I buy it this way and I drive for a year, I'm going to make money on it. And I'm like, why are you buying the car then? Like, you're buying it to make money. Like, aren't you buying it to like enjoy it?
Yeah.
Do what you want to do. Like, and I go back to, like you said, like whatever your favorite color is or whatever color pattern you like for you, buy it for you, not for the next person.
It turns out if you buy a standard color, you might luck out and be more limited.
Yeah, there are a million ways you can make money in this world. Like that, trying to invest in Porsches, especially in color, is probably one of the worst I can think of. Like, it just doesn't sound good.
Especially now that they're so flooded too, because it became the trend now. Like you said, with the GT2 RS, not even those, but all of the GT cars, you almost can't even find a regular one. They're all PTS at some point.
So like when I announced that I was getting a Voodoo GT3, I got like 3 or 4 messages on Instagram. They're like, oh, well, this guy's already got one and this guy's already got one. I'm like, I don't give a shit. I don't have one, and I've really always wanted one. So like,
that's not why I bought this, so I could be the only one.
Competitive. Yeah,
I was like, I'm going to give you a heads up. You can pick any color and somebody else will still pick it.
Yeah. It's exactly right.
That's why our friend Robert, he was so against getting a GT3 RS because all he does is track time in Germany. And he's like, I don't want to get one now because it's not good because everybody has one. And sure enough, he bought a yellow one. And the first lap he did, he was coming off track. And then what did he see right in front of him? Another yellow GT3 RS. As soon as he bought it, it was just
school bus.
Exactly.
I mean, I get uniqueness, but man, like just do what makes you happy. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't
like
get caught up in that.
I agree. If you're like your favorite color is green or something, and you want to get a green one, I get it. But like when you start to really break it down, when they're like, well, it's magenta / jade green, and it's like
they only made it 1 year.
You're
back
like,
in
is that your favorite color? You're like, that's like a made up color. You're like, that can't be your favorite color because that doesn't even exist. It's wild to see what's happened, and especially on secondhand markets. So many of them, like when they read the profile, it's like, oh, this is 1 of 3 PTS, and I'm like, that does nothing for me. I don't care. Like if you like the color, you like the color.
Well, and the fact that it's 1 of 3 is going to matter probably in 60 years from now. That's when it'll really matter. Yeah. So like
one more dead.
Yeah. It's like your investment strategy is a little bit like the time horizon on that's just not right.
Exactly. You're playing the extra long game.
Yeah.
ROI's paying off in 60 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say so.
No kidding. All right, so like talking about the next car that we drove the Widowmaker, the '08. Aaron really liked this car. Why don't you talk a little bit about that one?
I do like it. I like it that it behaves like a turbo as long as you're under 3,500 RPMs, and then it shows you that it's a GT2 after you start building boost, and it starts getting dancing and moving around, and it's. But then it starts feeling planeted when you start getting in triple digits, maybe. And I mean, I liked it. It felt so very communicative, and it's the right size. That's another thing too. As many people talk about,
I agree with that.
That GT2 holds that. I mean, I drove a 997, so it was kind of like home anyways. Getting in there, I was like, oh, it's kind of familiar. But I like the size, and it felt, the suspension was rougher, but it was a good rough.
Yeah, good rough, right? Like you could feel the road.
You knew when that back end was kind of getting loose, and then you're like, okay, back off, or it's going to be terrible.
Yeah, ease off, yeah.
But, I mean, outside of that, and then I loved, like, again, carbon fiber. That car had there's pieces.
Has it in spades.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the highest spec GT2 that was ever made, like for that model year. And
somebody was like, "Yeah,
they went all in on that."
Yeah. They literally, and it's terrible because like some parts of it are delaminating, and Porsche hates it because they keep having to replace it. It is what it is.
Yeah, they're like, "Damn it!"
But Guards Red is definitely.
Yeah, it looks so good. And then the stitching in the red too to complement it inside looks so good. I love. And you pointed it out when we were in. It was a leather. Instead of Alcantara roof, it was a leather. It's a leather.
So that's another option that you check the box.
I don't think I've ever seen that though.
And red stitch, by the way.
Yeah, like nobody ever like goes that far.
Yeah, so for me, like if I would spec the car out, I would have never done that. But it's just kind of a cool fact.
It is.
It has it's got literally every option you can put on it.
With all the other GT cars going Alcantara on other pieces, this thing went like. Actually, it looked like I was telling him. It looked like they spec'd it. They said if it's plastic or you think about having plastic on this piece, you better wrap it in leather and stitch it.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing like speaker grill, everything. Everything I would look where I would think I would see plastic. I was like, nope.
And that's heavy dollars in 2008 too, because that's $227 in 08, and we all know what was going on during 08.
Yeah.
So somebody bought that car in 08 at that spec. So they must have been okay still. Yeah, exactly right. They weren't in the flipping houses market, huh?
No, apparently not. No.
So what are some of your favorites? Like you live with the car. You tell us what some of your favorite things about it.
So that's my favorite car of all of them.
Yeah.
And I didn't expect that when I drove it the first time. I didn't expect that car to kind of just steal my soul. But that's another reason why I call it the Widowmaker. Is it just takes you and then nothing's really the same. 997 is my favorite.
Yeah.
Like Porsche 911. That is just it's the consummate 911 for me. I mean, I get the 993s, and I really want a 993 Carrera S. I mean, I love that car. But the overall driving experience, I think that car has it all.
I agree with you. I think there's a lot that you can relate to old Porsches because you have some old Porsches too. And I drove that car, and after driving, and the best comparison is, a lot of times we're driving a lot of new stuff, but we don't get to cross shop a lot of stuff. But after driving the newer cars today, like that's why we did it first and then drove this one last. There was a dramatic difference in the way everything felt, and it really did feel a lot of analog, and I loved that about it.
So like the 991, they did a really good job with the electronic steering, but it's still not it's still not mechanical. It's still, the 997 just has the best feel.
Yes, I agree with that.
So that to me is, and that, I just can't get over that. That is that feedback you get from it. It's just you can't replace it.
No, you can't replicate it. You literally
and they're
can't
never
replicate
gonna,
it.
and they're never going to get that way.
No,
again,
it's not going to go. Yeah, it's not going to go backwards.
No,
so
unless
that's
they go to mechanical, it'll never feel like that again.
And they won't.
Yeah.
So they won't. Yeah, it's crazy. I just love, and some of the things that I took away from it, because I'm a big analogy type of guy, or comparing things. And I told you when I came back, it reminded me of like a refined 930 turbo.
Exactly. It's what they came from. It's Porsche to the max. That's what put them on the map.
Yeah, it's like the best Terminator that came out now. It's got better every year, but it's still got the roots back to that, and that's what it was. It's got the 2-wheel drive. It still feels that surge, but it's not like a 930 where it's gutless down low. It still feels good, and then you can feel it building, and then it's a freight train, and it's light your hair on fire fast.
And you can track the car, but it's not a track car. I mean, it is just a really, really, really fun road car.
Yeah.
And I think that's what Porsche was doing when they built that car, and it excels at that.
I was going to say they did a fantastic job doing that, because that car is I agree. Out of all the ones, I know it sounds crazy to say, I really love what all they all do, because I can break them down and I'm like, okay, this is what this car is made to do, and it does it really well, and I like that. But for like normal use or just driving around, that one right there, that 08, man.
Honestly, Porsche, when they build the turbos, they should just build them like that. Just put it, make it rear engine, give it a little bit more horsepower,
Yes.
and it would be way more fun. Like,
Oh, yeah.
People would die probably. But it would be way more fun to drive.
But it'd be go old school again. I mean, people were dying in the 80s on them, and
Exactly.
like,
Yeah, that's how they got the name.
Exactly.
Just stop the GT thing and just like, it's a turbo. Like,
Yeah,
we don't need an S.
We don't need
anything else.
We'll make it 2RS so that way they can go set track records. But instead of making a GT2, just make it a turbo with rear wheel drive.
I agree. It would be a monster. I mean, I'd like just driving that car. What I compare it to, like the hotter girl is crazy. Or that's kind of like what that car was. It's
you get addicted and you just can't get off of it.
Exactly. It's like once that surge kicks in, it really is a split personality because it just pulls and pulls and pulls.
Totally different car.
Yeah, it pulls so hard. And in the scary part, like you said, I felt that scary part where it didn't feel like it was ever going to end.
No. And the let-off oversteer is right there to get you. So if you get into that and you're ready to, you think you're going to push it a little bit too hard and then you can't chicken out, you just got to stay with it.
Yeah. It's like, wow, come on. And like you said, I didn't think that it would happen, but when we were at low gear and just kind of cruising around town before we could get any openings or do anything, the car is like egging you on.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. I won't bite that hard. Come on.
Yeah.
And
it's
like,
going to be fun. I promise. It's going to be fun.
You're going to like this. Come on. You're going to like it. And you do it and you're just like, yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, because I mean, it builds boost really linearly. So like you can start to feel the boost, and it just eggs you on. It just wants a little bit more, and it does give you downforce. So the faster you go, if you're on an open stretch, it's giving you that downforce to stick not like the 2RS or the 3RS.
Yeah.
But you can feel it settle.
Yeah, you can feel it kind of stick. So it's like, let's go a little faster.
Yeah.
Let's just go just a little bit faster.
Just push it a little bit more. Push it a little bit more
until it bites you, and then you've got it.
Man, it is a special car though. I really enjoyed the time in it, and it was so cool to see all of the stuff too, like that was upgraded in that as compared to like the other cars. Like you said, it was so highly spec'd, and sitting in there, like just some of the stuff that I saw in there, it was like I saw the stitching on the visors. Like I'm like, like who does that? But I guess when you go nuts, like
it's just anything is possible with Porsche. As long as you have dollars, you can build more.
Exactly. They're like, can I? The guy probably just when he spec'd it was like, well, how much money can I spend to make one of these? And they're like, well, this is the most we've ever done. He's like, all right, let's do that. So that's pretty wild. So let's transition a little bit. So you're a pilot.
Yes.
And you said there's like no sensation like it. And we've been around avionics, Aaron and I, we've never actually piloted an aircraft or any of those kind of things. So
small one, a Cessna. Didn't count really.
Would you get,
they're all fun.
Did you get like autopilot? No, I'm just kidding.
I was young. I was
Flight simulator?
13 or so. Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you see that can cross-reference between Porsche and being a pilot and some of the like avionics and things that that are similar? What do you see there?
So the big thing with pilots is they all have a really high level of attention to detail. I think it comes with the idea that you're constantly cross-checking stuff. You're constantly trying to stay ahead of the airplane. And I see a lot of the same things with Porsche enthusiasts. So like you look at Porsche guys and they're really typically detail-oriented, kind of a little bit of that OCD mentality. And they like to know. So, the first thing a pilot does when he gets a new airplane or is getting checked out on a new airplane, pull out the manual, start reading, like learning as much as you can about it. The specs are useful, right? I mean, that's helpful information.
Absolutely.
That could save your life. So, and Porsche guys are the same thing. They want it all. And car guys in general are that way. That's why you see pilots usually are car guys too.
Yeah, that makes sense.
They want to know all the details. They want to know all the little intricacies, and then the mechanical inclination as well. Like, okay, how does it work? And I think that's, Porsches are really mechanically simple, which is why they're so elegant. I think, and airplanes are really mechanically simple because it's, light. They need to be light so they can fly well. So it's the same thing with Porsche, that they kind of are very, very similar. You look at Ferrari and you look at Lamborghini, and they're designing more for style. Yeah. Whereas Porsche is more function over form. Yeah. So that's I think that appeals to pilots a lot.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, most of the pilots I knew, like you said, were some type of sports car driver, whether that be, Porsche or whatever their fancy was. But do you find longing for speed out of the aircraft on the road?
Not really. The extra is the kind of speed that you can't get anywhere else. Yeah. So the extra is you can't replicate that in a car.
Yeah.
You
so no matter
you could, but you'd probably die.
Yeah. You can't even get. Yeah, I guess that's a good point. So not even worth trying, huh?
Yeah, no, that's for me. Everybody's like, oh, do you roll your traveling airplane, like the airplane you travel in? Like, do you do aerobatics? That no, man. Like, I've got the real, like, everything has a purpose.
Yeah, you're like, I have something to do that for.
It's like, I don't want to die. Like, I don't. I'm not. There's no sense in doing that. And I don't want to scare people. Like, that's not what that's all about.
Exactly. That's not fun for anybody.
Yeah, no. Nope.
Like, you do aerobatics with your cruiser plane? Like, no.
Yeah, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. No.
Yeah. No, that's funny. So, like, how long have you been competing for?
Yeah.
So I started my first competition in 12 or 13, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've been competing every year since then. I took last year off.
Okay.
Kind of had some challenges.
Yeah.
So last year I took off and been working a lot. So that's really kind of replacing all the aerobatic time. But I'm going to January 1st, I'm back in the airplane and going at it as hard as I can.
I bet you missed it, huh? Like, you're probably ready to get after it.
At first I was happy to take a break. Now I'm itching to get back in the airplane and ready to go.
Well, like we talked offline, you don't go too hard now because you've been out and like try to compensate for time, right? And be one of those guys you were telling me about.
That's honestly the most exciting part for me is like, it's been a while. Like, it's easy to strap the airplane back on when you're flying a lot. Mm-hmm. For me, I'm looking forward to the challenge of actually getting back into it and actually having to relearn I say relearn, but just build up the feeling, build up the G tolerance again, and get back out there and start flying again. It's going to be really fun.
So as far as like, not to give out too much information, but like, so you do have access to a runway now. Do you get to fly pretty much at like your aircraft? If you have a down day, like on a Sunday, you just go and put some like hours on the plane.
I live on a 6,000 foot grass runway, and we have an aerobatic box right on top of the runway.
Okay.
Just offset a little bit. So my typical program is I'll get home from work about 6:30, change clothes, get in the airplane, strap it on, and go fly during the summertime.
Okay.
We got longer evenings.
Nice.
So yeah, and that's 2 to 3 times a week.
And then you can get your practice in, right?
Saturday, Sunday. So I'm looking for 6 to 7 flights a week.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, because you want to stay sharp, obviously, right? So that's nice that you can get all that time in and be able to like knock that out here.
I couldn't do it if I didn't live on an airport.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I would never have the time to be able to drive to the airport. It just wouldn't work.
Doing your time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because then otherwise that'd be just be your life, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's I wouldn't be able to have another job. My main job. That
exactly.
lets me do everything else.
Exactly right. And so you'd be sacrificing one for the other. But yeah, that's hilarious. So as far as like that, what are the type of G's that you end up pulling in that?
So it's plus 12G, minus 12G.
God,
it's a lot.
Yeah, that's.
You can pull more, but it hurts.
Yeah, I bet. So do you ease into like? How do you ease into that? Like, you just
for me, I'm kind of a freak. I don't know why, but I don't really have a problem with G's. So like like my first aerobatic ride, I was pulling 10 G's and didn't really have an issue.
Really? You didn't have to do the flex,
exactly.
like flex.
I will on longer pulls and stuff, but yeah, it kind of came natural.
Okay.
But yeah, so I always take it. So the big thing is negative G's. They're like cigarettes. They're all bad for you. So yeah, and you can really hurt yourself with negative G's. So let's just ease back into it. Positive G's I don't really worry about too much. Just making sure I'm hydrated ahead of time. Got good blood sugar levels, and making sure that my nutrition's on point.
That's a good point you bring up, because I think that's an underrated thing, because same with like race car drivers, you have to be fit. People think that's like, oh, it's not a sport. Like, you have to be, those guys are some of the most fit guys in the world, because if your body's in bad shape, you're not going to be able to endure the race. You're not going to be able to endure the flight and do the things that you need to do.
That's why, like, this year I was, taking some downtime. I was like, and I think I'll start doing Ironmans. That was like, that was my thing. I was like, all right, I'm going to get into triathlon. That's just another challenge.
Exactly.
And it is. It helps keep your body in shape for the aerobatics.
Yeah, because it's rough on you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I've got major back issues, neck issues from doing it.
Wow.
Because it's hard. We wear a helmet, and that's for protection, but the helmet, it weighs 2-3 pounds.
Yeah, and then that starts weighing on you.
Gs,
yeah,
it weighs
I was going to say.
So it's you got to have really strong neck muscles, and it hurts.
Jeez, I had no idea. That's nuts.
Yeah, it's a really physical. Everybody, I get out of the airplane dripping and sweating. Everybody's like, "What? You were just flying?" I'm like, "Yeah, I was just flying."
Yeah. You're like, I wish you were up there with me so you could see what it was about. So when you're actually like competing, where is it like a traveling type of, like, is it air shows? Like, where does that happen
I flew
at?
the World Championships in Poland.
Okay.
So yeah, we did a week or week and a half in the Czech Republic before that, and then flew the World Championships in Poland. I was actually supposed to fly the World Championships in France last year, and I just couldn't make it work with my work schedule. But I'll be trying back for the unlimited team this coming year in September. I'm not sure the World Championships are going to be. They haven't announced it yet, but looking forward to that, and I'll definitely be going there. But yeah, we have contests all over the country. It's part of the International Aerobatics Club.
Okay.
Which is a really great organization. They do instruction training. It's a really good mentorship program to get people into it.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, they host competitions all around the country, and it's a pretty popular thing. I mean, there'll be 30 or 40 pilots at some of these contests.
So explain it to the listeners, and including myself, like, how do you score and stuff like that? Because I'm not educated enough. I'm like, we know about it, but we don't know, like, how do you do well at one of those things?
So it's a lot like ballet.
Okay.
So it is subjective scoring, but you've got a panel of really highly qualified judges. They have to go to a 2-day school. They have to have a lot of practical hands-on experience. They've got to be hands-on for 40 flights.
Oh, wow. Okay.
As an assistant judge to help teach people how to score and how to apply the systems. It's a very numerical process that they do to assign scores. It is somewhat subjective based on how good someone's vision is or how they perceive something.
Okay.
And what's funny is half of learning how to fly aerobatics in competition is how to cheat to where they can't see certain things. Because we were working in a defined aerobatic box. It's 1,000 meters by 1,000 meters.
Mm-hmm.
How close something looks.
And we're doing 200 knots.
Wow.
In a 1,000 meter by 1,000 meter box.
That's super tight.
Yeah, and when you put winds into it and everything like that. So if we're on a vertical upline, these airplanes can go forever on a vertical upline. So you can be blown out of the box just by not, cheating wind. So you've got to be able to hide all that, and it's all about the precision and accuracy of your rolls, your angles. Everything's got to be just, again, looking at the geometry of the figures.
Okay. Wow. It's pretty technical then, huh?
Yeah, it's there's a lot going on, and then the cheating aspect of it again is like, it's kind of the all aerobatic pilots joke about that. It's not how good you fly, it's how good you cheat. So how much can you learn?
Where's the gray area here?
Yeah, you learn all the tricks of the trade, right?
Yeah, where can you cheat that the judges can't see? And that's the hardest part. And there's some great judges out there. So again, it's we've got one that actually lives at the airport that I live at here, and she's probably the best eyes to business.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I love flying for her because she catches all my cheating. So she if I can get cheating past her, I know I can do it.
You're golden.
Yeah, I know I can do it anywhere.
Yeah, if any of them are listening, he doesn't cheat at all. It's like
they would know,
which is total bullshit, right? Yeah. Because all of you guys probably cheat.
Yeah,
so
it's the way of the sport. That or you're not doing very good.
Yeah, and you're finishing at the not podium, right? Yeah. On that. So when you fly over, is your plane going in another plane to make it to Poland? Like how's it traveling there?
We can ship, but it's really expensive to do air shipping.
Mm-hmm.
But what we do is we actually put them in a freight container.
Okay.
A Connex box, basically.
Really?
And put them on a ship and ship them over there.
Okay.
And then they get on a truck and drive to wherever the location is. We put them back together, so we just take the wings and the tail off.
Okay.
The engine stays on, and just put the wings. They're kind of built for that Red Bull Air Race.
Okay. Yeah.
Kind of perfected the tearing airplanes apart and putting them back together.
Okay.
Now Red Bull Air Race is dead, but
that was great. I used to watch that one.
Yeah, they just couldn't get the economics right on it, I think is the problem. But it was a good sport.
Yeah. I always see them like flying in Dubai and stuff like that when they're doing stuff, and I was like, man, this is really cool. I'm like, these guys have to be with it, because I'm looking at how many barrel rolls and turns are happening, and I'm like, how do you keep your wits about you? Yeah. So like, is it like driving for those that us that don't fly, when you're doing all that stuff, since you're doing it, is it help you because your brain knows you're going to be doing it? Or
it's that, but it's just like anything. I mean, you got to train your brain to think faster.
Mm-hmm.
So it's people are like, oh, only certain people can do that. Not really. You have to go through that learning process, and you start in a slower airplane so you can start, and again, like everything, like just like flying jets. I mean, you have to train your brain to think faster. And that's it. I mean, that's what you have
even like motorcycles or something. Like when you go get your first bike and it's like a 650, and then you outgrow it in like 3 months, and you're like, all right, I need a 1000. I'm out of here.
And that's kind of what I like about the 2RS is it's the first car I've ever driven where like a lot like an airplane, like you have to think further ahead of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a unique aspect to that car that like it's like, wow, this is kind of like an airplane. Like, okay, we've breaking the barriers of physics, and now we're flying on the road.
Yeah. I honestly, that's a great comparison, because I was actually saying that it's breaking the laws of speed and all of those things and agility on the road when you drive that car, because you start to think about what it's capable of doing and the G's it can pull and all the stuff it can. And it's like, this is dangerous.
You're flying low. You're not driving fast.
Exactly.
That's really what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly. In the wrong hands, this is going to definitely like be devastating.
Yeah. I can definitely see some people hurting themselves in that car.
It's
got a lot of safety features. I mean, it is as safe. If you leave all the controls on,
mm-hmm.
the car's really safe. I mean, it's got a lot of nanny systems in it, so bad drivers can drive fast.
Exactly.
I think that's
what we talked about before. It's like if you're a poor driver, it makes you a good driver.
Exactly. Whereas like the GT2, like you're just gonna.
We'll see what your metal's made of in that car, right?
Exactly.
Do you think I know you, and we talked offline about this too, not to get like personal, but like we know people on the list when you're kind of like, hey, you need to buy the next car, and the next car comes up. Do you feel like that 2RS is a forever car for you, or do you feel?
Yeah, the 2RS I'll probably have forever.
Yeah,
the GT2, GT2RS I'll have forever. The GT3, it depends.
Yeah.
If they stay naturally aspirated with the GT3, which I think they're going to for the next cycle, then I'll probably upgrade it.
Yeah,
I have to be Voodoo again because
yeah.
I love the blue color. But
how do you feel about that swan neck spoiler that's coming out on that? Like, it'd be nice to hear your opinion on that.
I'm not a fan. I don't.
Okay.
I'm hoping the final design is different.
I'm with you because I don't think it looks right on a road car. Like on an IMSA car, it's perfect because a car's huge.
Exactly.
It's all proportional, right? The wing's huge. Well, the RSR's, it's got a huge ass on it. It's and huge fenders, and it makes sense.
The uprights aren't proportional to
Exactly.
the wing
It's
length.
almost, you get the swan neck on the road car, and it's kind of like, and not to speak ill of like an aftermarket company, but you guys know where I'm going with this. When you see aftermarket kits on Porsches, and you're I kind of get that feel when I see
the GT cars
that.
all look kind of aftermarket as it is. I mean, every people see them, they're like, "Oh, how long did it take you to do all this work to the car?" I'm like, "Well, it came from the factory that way." But
just filling out some paperwork. Checked a box.
That's what's funny is the 2RS. Like you take it somewhere, and everybody's like, "Wow, how long did it take you to get this work done on the car?" I'm like, 0 minutes.
Yeah.
It took no time at all.
Exactly.
They came from the factory. But so yeah, I mean,
And they're like, "What?"
It looks tunerish as it is. So yeah, that I don't know. We'll see how the final product looks.
Yeah.
Porsche always knocks it out of the park. I mean, I've never really seen them get the design wrong.
I agree with that.
So I want to see.
And and I agree with you. Maybe the spy shots just aren't that appealing, and it is.
Or it could be a red herring. They could just be doing it just to mess with people. Which, if it were me, I would love to do something like that. Like, look how ugly and hideous this is. Wait, that's not what we're actually going to do.
Yeah, that's true. That could be. I mean, Porsche's known for that. Trying to throw people off the trail. So I mean, it's entirely possible. So what do you think about the new electric movement and the Taycan and all that kind of stuff? It'd be nice to hear from another enthusiast about it.
So I have a deposit on a Taycan.
Okay.
And I don't know if I'm going to actually pull the trigger or not.
Yeah.
For me, I don't know. I like the idea of it because it's faster. It's a chasing speed. But it's just there's something about an naturally aspirated engine or a fuel-driven engine.
Yeah, a combustion engine, right?
Yeah, and about the electric whir. It's like buzzing around versus.
I don't know.
From what I know about you, I don't think that you would enjoy that, especially being like a pilot, and
so
you just like motorsport, you like engines,
I've driven a Tesla, and it's really fun for about 5 minutes, and then after that, it's just not. It's just not the experience that you're looking for.
It's like playing skee ball. You haven't done it in a while. It's fun. You do it for a little bit, and you're like, all right, I'm over this.
It's the perfect way to put it. Yeah, it's like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is exactly what I remember. This is like.
It's
all right,
soulless.
I'm out of here.
There's just no soul to the car.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that it.
I totally agree with that. I've been in tons of Teslas, and I have zero desire to own one.
I do think hybrid technologies is going to be really cool. So, basically bringing Formula One technology into the next generation of RSs, which I think, that's the only way they go faster than the 2RS,
I agree.
I think. So,
instantly fast.
Yeah. So, that, in kinetic energy recovery, I think that actually could be really cool.
Yes. Like a lot of the 918 technology, like
as long as
going
it's
into
light.
Yeah.
So the 918,
it's a tank.
Yeah. So
it's a tank.
If they can lighten that technology up, or again, just like do simple things like, rather than having a full hybrid system, you do kinetic energy recovery with a small hybrid motor, just to add a little bit more horsepower. I think that would be really, really cool.
Yeah. Like if they did, when they did the prototype car, if they can use like that kind of that technology into maybe a 911 or something, it'd probably be dynamite.
Absolutely.
So
I'm all on board for that, but the pure electric.
Yeah, I know. I still have to have an exhaust note. Like I still have to put petrol in it. Like you just.
I won't know what to do with myself the first time a 911 drives by and it doesn't make any noise. Like
I won't like it.
That.
Yeah, I give it 2 thumbs down. Right. I mean, unfortunately,
but it's coming.
I was gonna say we are young enough, and we are going to see that day. Unfortunately,
I think so.
And I think we're going to see it a lot sooner than we think we're going to see it too. Unfortunately.
Yeah, that's the way it's all going. I mean,
He made a good point on a few episodes, actually like a while episodes ago. He really thinks that, and I say he, Aaron, so if the people aren't watching, I always forget sometimes that people are just listening. But he said they're going to trickle that, like the electric stuff into the Boxster, the 718, and they came in first because that crowd of people might not be as pissed as the 911 people if they start with that and maybe kind of almost put a toe in the water to see what happens there.
You say that, but they went straight to PDK with the 911.
That's true.
And that, like, I don't see how they didn't see the backlash coming from that.
Yeah.
I think they just didn't care. So.
I think it was one of those I don't give a crap. Yeah. Like, this is what we're going.
And Porsche does everything is about speed. You know, that's kind of it's a single-minded approach. So I don't know. I think the opposite. I think they're going to come out in a GT car, in a 911, and say, in your face, guys. Like, this is...
Well, maybe that's the way they test it, too. Like, they did the Taycan, that 24-hour test. They're going to want to get some endurance races on this hybrid technology. I guess a 911 would be the way to do that.
They are doubling down on that, too, because they're doing Formula E. They're going heavy into that. So... I mean, you may be on it. Like,
but
you may be right.
hybrids have not sold well. I mean, our local dealer had a 2018 Panamera hybrid that they basically had to give away. I mean, it was on the lot for a year and a half.
But if people understood that you get like 40 miles to the gallon in the car and with a V8.
But it was $200,000.
Yeah.
It's a hefty
for that
price.
Amount of money, I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not going to buy
There's a couple
hybrid.
other things you can get. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing is, like, at that point, you really wonder what that's going to look like long term, because you know what we talked about, the Sport Turismo, like, it's a cool car, but it was, I think the one we tested was stickered like at 225, and it's like, who's buying this? Like, if you've got 225, how are you not buying like a GT car?
5 years later, it's going to be worth 100.
Exactly.
I mean,
No, I think that one actually had some miles on it, not many, but they were selling it for a lot. I think it was a 165 or something.
Yeah,
like that.
so I mean,
it took a hit already. It was same year. I think it had like 1,200 miles on it, and it took like a $60,000 hit already.
And I don't know, you know, for me, that's I'm a very conservative person, so you know, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I agree.
And I don't know, you know, just because you can afford $100,000 depreciation.
Well, I think that's just burning money, though. Yeah. Like, that's just burning money.
That's what I always say. I'd rather go out in my backyard and light $100
Yeah.
bills on fire. I mean, I'm a pyro, so I want fire. So
Exactly.
that's at
I'll
least
be warm. I'll be entertained.
Yeah, it's exactly.
And it's going to take you a while to do it too.
Exactly.
So.
I mean, but I mean, you think about it, like, okay, so yeah, I had a Cayenne, and what I lost on that car, I could have bought a GT4.
Yeah.
And
it's
like,
nuts.
okay,
It's to think about that, right?
Like, why would I?
When you put it in terms like that, that's asinine, isn't it?
It
You
is.
put
I
in
mean,
motorsport terms, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
So that just doesn't make.
Yeah, it's just bad business, right? Like, I think at the end of the day, I think a lot of people too, like, at least hopefully, that if you guys are listening, you're buying right, because you're not buying to keep up with the Joneses. You're buying because you like it. And ultimately, if you don't lose money on the car, that's always a bonus.
It's
but
just like PTS, man. Like, don't buy it because it's the in-trend thing.
Exactly.
Because it's what you want.
Exactly. And you're so right. Like, a lot of their, unfortunately, I call them their fleet cars.
Yeah.
I mean, that's essentially what they are. I mean, if it's not, you know, a 911 or a motorsport, you know, a GT4 or something like that, it's a fleet car to me, basically. Yeah. And they take monster hits.
I bought my wife a Boxster S, which I thought I would hate. I never wanted to drive it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun to drive.
They're actually impressive cars.
But she took a huge depreciation hit on it, so that's why we bought the Targa 4 GTS.
Yeah, because that's going to hold way better.
Yeah, Targas are rare.
Yes.
I've always wanted a Targa.
Exactly. And those are the best Targas to have.
Yeah.
It's good. So good.
Yeah, because that's like the OG style Targa, how they used to do it. Not this sliding roof crap.
Yeah,
like, I'm going to call it a Targa. And that's not a Targa.
I bought a 993 Targa, and I was like, God, I just can't get over it. It just
No.
looks so weird.
Yeah, it does.
It's not a Targa.
Yeah.
It's a 911.
Yeah. You have a pano roof.
Yeah.
Stop calling it a Targa.
Yeah, with the glass hatchback.
Yeah,
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
But it's, and do you think, and we talked about this on another episode, and I'm sure you're aware of it, their subscription program that they're doing, you think your cars cost so much, that's why that's happening, and maybe there's some success behind that?
No, I just think it's a revenue stream thing.
Okay.
I think I see a lot of businesses.
A dollar catcher?
I mean, you look at Microsoft, look at Oracle's gone that way, Adobe's gone that way. You know, you see it in the software industry, and that's really smart because they're selling a product that is expensive to most people. And think about it, that's what a lease really is. I mean, you don't own anything at the end of it. It's just
true.
It's a 36-month subscription. It's
true.
Rather than calling it a lease, they're just calling it a subscription.
Because everything's subscription based, right?
Yeah,
like we joked about that too. It's like, oh, you do Netflix, that's subscription based. Like, you do this, that's subscription based.
And you know, and millennials hate commitment. So
Yeah,
that's what it is.
that's
It's
what
a commitment-free subscription rather than having a lease that's fixed for 36
That's
months.
true.
Now you can get rid of it.
I don't want to be
anytime.
married to this anymore.
Yeah, so I mean, the expense has something to do with it, but like rather than that, it's just fixing what their depreciation cost is and making it be out of pocket the same as a lease does.
Yeah. It's just renaming a product basically.
Exactly,
Yeah. It's always been around. I guess it's just a little bit
You just
different.
get a
You're getting more
more
option.
cars,
You're just not locked to one car. You're getting a couple cars.
Well, think about it. I mean, so like like GTs, like most of the time, it's pretty hard to get hurt on a GT car. So if you're buying a GT car and let's say you trade every one for the same price you paid for it, Porsche's not getting any more money. So there's
That's
no
true.
new money in the system. So they're relying on the rest of their cars to bring new money into the system.
That's true, because it's like it's the initial buy-in, and then once you're there, you're there.
Yeah.
All you're doing is like just trading money.
Yeah, and exactly. So like that's the thing, is it's not new money to them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the guy that buys the car's new money, but that's new money through the dealership and the trade. They're not actually, Porsche's not.
That's a good point. I never looked at it that way.
So I mean, for them, that's the depreciation is what's really going to make the market. That's the new money that's coming into the system.
Yeah, that's a good
constantly
point.
generating it.
That's a really good point. I never thought of it from that perspective, but that is a very good point, because you think about it. If you're on the GT list and you're always buy the new GT car and you're always on the list and you always get one, like you said, you're not going to lose money on it.
Yeah.
And you just turn around and sell it, and you just turn that money over to the next one.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you just continue to just transfer that money. So it's like you just come with that pot of money, and then it just stays there essentially.
Yeah, so you're not, I mean, unless you're buying more cars, you're not bringing new money into the system.
Mm-hmm. So what's your theory on, I know we talked about like older hypercars and you really like the CGT, and we talked a little bit about new hypercars coming, and there's talk of a hybrid hypercar coming from Porsche. What that's going to look like, nobody knows, but it's just kind of been in the rumor mill that they've talked about something like that. And since you talked a little bit about hybrid technology, would you be excited to see like kind of a new take on a 917 road car, hypercar thing? Or
So this is my, I'm still kicking myself for turning down a 918. But I'm a 911 guy. Like for me, like I love the 911 shape. I love the 911 style. And for me, from a financial standpoint, the 918 was a great buy.
Yeah.
That's really all it would have been to me. The only car that kind of stands out as just being unique is that Carrera GT. It's a wicked cool car.
Yeah.
And so for that, I'd break the 911 mold, but most of the time I'm looking, what's the best 911 I can
That
buy?
makes sense. I'm kind of on that same path too. Like the guys that chase hypercars, I'm like, yeah, that's for them. I'm not really into that stuff, but I have a sweet spot for CGT too. And it's just because I guess it's so derivative from motorsport. They made the engine to race in like a class, and then it didn't happen. But so they stuck it in that car, and it's just a special car. Like Porsche doesn't put V10s in road cars, and you know what I mean. And it's a manual. Like, come on, I mean,
It's the perfect road car.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
It's a legend. Yeah.
It's the perfect car in general.
the minute that car like came out, I was like, I already knew. I was like, that car's a legend.
Yeah.
And not just because it was an expensive car. I mean, that car had value already.
Yeah.
And the thing is, with the hypercar technology, it's kind of like the cutting edge, and you're never going to be able to catch it, right? You're going to have to buy something new every year. It's
a rat
never-
race at that point.
You're never going to catch that. So, again, it's, journey destination. What are you in it for? So for me, like I love 911s. There's a journey that I enjoy there. But like if I'm just chasing the fastest car, to be able to say, oh, my hypercar has the best specs, like come on, man. Like I get it. Like I get that there are people that are that way. But
Exactly.
That's an ego.
You have plans for that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like your hypercar can't go as fast as my extra. Sorry.
Exactly.
It's just not gonna happen.
Exactly.
So, yeah. I don't know. For me,
Yeah, there's a lack of passion there, right? It's more of kind of just like
It is.
it's
It's
more
just-
of like an impulse buy.
it's ego based.
Yeah, yeah.
It's people just are buying based. Like I gotta have the latest. and
Exactly.
greatest. Why?
Exactly. And it goes back to that. Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Yeah.
And I agree with that. And
And I mean, I think it's really cool. I mean, that the hypercar technology is what's driving. That's, I think, why the GT2 RS is so fast. Is they took a lot of the technology that they got out of racing and out of the 918. Not the hybrid stuff, but just everything else, the manufacturing techniques.
Yeah.
I think that's why we see the GT2 RS being so fast.
Yeah.
So I like that it pushes the boundaries, but for me, it just, I don't know.
yeah.
I don't see the value there.
Yeah, I agree with that. I can empathize with that. I mean, what the 2RS, the new one's the fastest 911 ever made, right? So it's
By a long shot.
Yeah.
It's not even close.
I was gonna say it's unreal. Like I'm still blown away about that car, and I feel like it. I don't want to say there is hype around it. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like it's like typical Porsche. It kind of flies a little bit under the radar as far as like people talking about it or social media or anybody like being blown away about it. Like anything, when something's shiny and new, when they first came out and they all hit and all the editors got one and they did it and they but it had that wave. But after that, I feel like it kind of flatlined and was just kind of like not that it's not interested, but people just don't talk about how great it is because it really is great. And I wonder if it's because it's a 911.
I think that's got something to do with it. It's not, and again, it's not the cutting edge technology. It doesn't have hybrid technology. It doesn't have kinetic energy recovery. It doesn't have all those things that it doesn't have active aero. It's not all of those things.
The sexy buzzword stuff, right?
Like, I mean, just think about this for a second. Like, look how hard the 720S has to work to be just as fast as the 2RS. Like, that car is doing so much more, and there's so much more that can break on it. Right?
Oh, yeah.
So think about this. Like, you're on an endurance race, 24-hour race, and the active aero all of a sudden stops working. Is it still as fast as the 2RS?
Exactly.
What does the 2RS have to break?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you cook a turbo.
Yeah.
Okay, then you're really out. But
every
car is at
exactly.
risk of that.
Exactly.
There's no
mechanical failure happens in a race. It's part of it. Yeah.
But you've made the car too complicated to a point where now it's like it's relying on these things to be fast, which is cool.
Yeah.
But that's not what 911s are about. That's not what Porsche's about. It's like it's kind of the brute force and ignorance.
Exactly.
Right?
You're cheating arrow at this point.
Yeah.
You're cheating arrow essentially.
Exactly.
Yeah, because the car is thinking the whole time. It's this big. Let's be honest. It's just an operating computer essentially with an engine.
Yeah. I mean, and truth. I mean, Formula One had ground effect cars in the past. I mean, you could drive a car on the ceiling. So I think that the 911 technology is headed that way, where they're going to get the aero better and better and better, where it's it's downforce based, because now we're kind of hitting the limits of powertrain technology and how much power.
Yeah. Even like when
exactly
the James Hunt era in Formula One, then when they first put like the side curtains down, that was manual. That was like on a lever. Like they would put that down. So that's the first active aero. Like he's like, to make that air cushion, underneath. Basically, they just put those little side skirts down and they went to town. So, yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that car, and it does get a lot of attention. Don't get me wrong, but I think it should get more than it is getting, just because it is so capable. And like you mentioned, the McLaren 720S. I think everybody like fanboyed over that car so much when it came out. And there's like, oh my god, it's so ridiculous.
But the fun comparison was that everything was like, it's as fast as the 2RS.
Mm-hmm.
So
exactly.
Okay.
So there's a benchmark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, that to me is like, that's telling a lot. But I don't know. I like understated. And then Porsche,
I do too.
Porsche has always been that way. So I'm perfectly fine with them.
Exactly.
I almost think I've been a Porsche fan since before Porsche was really. GT cars were not talked about.
Yeah. Exactly.
Certain people knew what a GT car was.
Yeah.
But nobody really.
Yeah. It wasn't the cachet that it is now.
Yeah. So and I kind of. Maybe I'm old fashioned. I sound like the crotchety old guy, but like I don't know. I don't like all the attention.
I don't either. I'm the same way,
because I'm afraid they're going to lose their soul.
Mm-hmm.
Porsche has always been very devoted to what they do, and
well,
it's over and over again.
I think and a great example of that is all that PTS stuff and all this all these brokers that were buying and flipping and all these people that were, I don't want to say being lied to, but people didn't know anything about Porsche that were coming into the brand as new. And like Porsche needs that, and that's good for the community, but they were coming in for the wrong reasons. They weren't coming in because they were enthusiasts and they wanted the car. Yeah. They were being told, well, if you buy this car, it's safe money. You'll be able to sell it for whatever that you put into it and you'll be fine.
And that's why I love that they brought out the GT3 Touring Edition, because so that was the closest I ever came to making a stupid decision. Is I had an offer for a 911R at 200 over sticker. And I wanted a 911R so bad I couldn't stand it.
Yeah,
I can see that.
And
you were on the edge, huh?
And I was like, and I was the fact that I actually entertained.
I was like, they've only made this one other time.
Yeah, and so I'm like, what do I do here? And I was like, I don't think this is the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And when they released the GT3 Touring, I didn't get one.
Mm-hmm.
I love the idea, but I was so happy because that's classic Porsche, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, this is not a collector's car. This is a fun car. This is a car you drive.
Yes. It's been said many times by, their directors and all that stuff. They're like, drive the cars, guys.
Yeah.
Drive them. We do not engineer these cars for them to sit in a garage somewhere and collect dust.
And the 2RS drives great in the rain. Like, I mean, for me, like, it's like I drive it in the rain. So I wish I had more time to drive them. That to me is like, I don't care. Like,
I need more time is what I need.
Yes, that's my problem. Is time,
somebody manufactured that.
I need 30 hours in a day and I could do anything.
Yeah, then you'd be golden, right?
Yeah, that's all I need.
So we need to get that going, right? Like somebody manufacture that out there. Get us more hours, guys.
Yeah.
We all need more hours. But thanks for coming on the show. I don't want to take too much more of your time. Great conversation. Thanks for sharing, educating us about, your aeronautics background and all that kind of stuff.
It was a really good time.
Yeah. And it was really enjoyable being here today. And thanks for having us.
No, thanks for coming. I really appreciate it, guys.
All right. We'll see you guys on the next one.
See ya. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of PCAR Talk. Connect with us on Instagram at PCAR Talk. or online at pcartalk.com.